What took place when the greedy man met a stranger? The voice of Senegal. People tell me, I have never seen it myself, but people say that once upon a time the quality of greed lived in a few men and women back in those faraway years. They say, these folks who know how it was long ago, that there was a particular man in Africa who did not care to share his belongings with strangers. To people like you and me, to persons like us living in modern times, the thought of people being greedy must sound funny. But show me patience and let me show you how the story goes, just for the fun of hearing it and just to see how people nowadays have changed from long ago. Grass houses, naturally, there were in this once upon a time, and a greedy, greedy man lived in one of them. There was no one in town who would be so foolish as to go before his door to say, "What a hot sun there is! Couldn't you just take a long, cold drink right now?" No one would even speak the words, "I beg, sir, your pardon. Could you spare a speck of bread?" No, no one. For they knew the answer from this greedy man. But one day, a stranger, with the plan in his head to fool this man who did not drink and could not eat with people looking on. At the time of day that folks in that town banged about fixing supper, this stranger happened by the doorway of the greedy man. He stopped there to wipe his feet and clear his throat. At that very second, inside the house, the wife of the greedy man had been saying, "Well, husband, I suppose you could do with some supper. Shall I bring your Toho in for you?" Of course, outside the house, feet were being scraped against the ground, and a throat made a small noise as it was cleaned. The man at his supper table did hear it all. "Quickly," said this man to his wife, "are you sick in the brain, woman? Is a fever crawling into your bones? You know better than I do that my food sits cold and uncooked." The wife, in a faraway voice, said, "Oh," and walked away. A woman gets to know what is going on in her husband's head. By now, the stranger was inside and sitting at the meal table. "Master of this house," he said, 3 days, 3 full days, and long cold nights." He stopped a time to let his words sink into the greedy man. "I am hungry." How miserable the skinflint moaned to this hungry stranger. "Oh, yes, I know what you mean. Haven't I felt the pinch in my own belly?" The man held his tummy in his 2 hands for the stranger to see his stomach ache. "Hasn't every speck of my grain crop been ruined? No, stranger, I have no food to eat myself. I am pushed to pull out roots and to cook and eat roots and herbs. I stuff my stomach with them to keep from starving. Sorry, stranger. Come back in better times. Then you and I can feast together.
Food.
The greedy man called for his toho and began spooning it into his face as soon as the stranger was out of sight. But this was not a stranger to be easily fooled. He had hidden in the bush, and even now the man at his supper could see this stranger come walking up his path again. And this greedy one was not a man to be easily tricked either. "Quick!" he hissed to his wife. "The food! Put the toho away! Come here!" he commanded the woman. His wife came back to see her husband lying on the floor with his eyes closed. He was still talking as he lay there, giving his orders. "Be smart now. Go to the door and tell the pesty stranger that I fell down dead." "My husband has passed away, dear stranger. He has died quite suddenly." The man nudged through the house's doorway. "You poor woman," he whined, "all alone with sad misfortune, to say nothing of this heavy dead body on the floor. I must help in some way. I know. I shall dig the deep hole and put away this corpse for you. The work is much too heavy for a woman, and oh, so sad for a grieving wife." Already the stranger had hooked his fingers under the arms of the body and began dragging it out to the backyard. The other man kept his eyes closed and his body relaxed and very heavy. He waited, trying to rest, while this amazing stranger shoveled out a hole to place him in. Then he held his breath a bit and rested more while this pest covered him up with his own dirt. He could rest and wait because he was sure that his woman, his wife of many years, would work hard at taking him out of the tomb before his time. And, as you might expect, when the tricky man from the other parts did finally leave his place, the wife removed her husband from his early grave.
"It is my food, after all."
When the man stepped from his tomb, he was glad to be on top of the ground, but he was dirty. He beat himself with his open hands to brush his body clean again. Even the pouch which he carried over his stomach had become gritty. As he brushed the filth away, he spoke. "I tell you now and for all time, that miserable bum from who knows where can try 100 tricks better than this one, and he still will not taste a spoonful of my toho. Oh, dear wife, I certainly could eat supper now. Go and heat it again for me, will you?"
Oh, glorious food.
Naturally, the man no sooner was leaning over his hot meal, bending over, breathing in its smell, than from nowhere who should pop up but the stranger. Like a flash, this man about to eat his toho had taken it, hot sauce and all, and pours it into his pouch. This pouch, which rested near the stomach, was made of threaded seams. These seams of the pouch, they did leak very badly. So when the greedy man stared up at this foreigner, the skin of his belly was on fire with steamy toho he was to have for supper. The traveler peered down at him, his head shaking. "First you are dead. Now you are sitting at the supper table with no supper. And most strange of all, while your body is empty, Your pouch is dripping juicy Toho. You are simply a man with no food to spare. Is that it? Well, since you are new to this part of the country, let me tell you straight to your face. That way, it will save you a lot of trouble and trickery. Listen good now. No stranger, not anyone from a foreign spot. An evil genie could come begging, and he could go away hungry. None of you people will ever get a morsel to chew on out of this house.
So give up.
After such a speech, the stranger left. He traveled straight to a peculiar forest that was filled with devils. These genies, who everyone knew hated the human race and were overjoyed to murder any man passing through their woods. In no time, a gang of them circled this stranger. One of them put the sharp edge of his knife to the traveler's throat, ready to do him in. As usual, the stranger had a plan. I came on purpose to see you. All with any brains know how much you genies deserve respect from us people, and how little we offer any kindness to you, highest of living beings. The devil held his knife a little longer. This man with smooth talk might just turn out to be worth listening to. Love and gifts you should receive from people hereabouts, but no. Would you believe what a stingy excuse of a man in the next village had the nerve to say about you? Every genie's eye was round and black. Every ear was red and open, for so it is when devils pay close attention. This greedy skinflint was bragging that anyone, even you powerful spirits, could walk the woods hungry if your stomachs depended on him to give his food away. The genie who held the knife stood without moving for a long time. Really? He finally muttered. Go home now, stranger. Leave this man to us. Next night, poor miser, he was lying in the dark, sleeping. While he dreamed of piling extra grain in a hiding place, the genies changed into cockroaches and carried every speck of the man's millet away on their backs. Next day, the sun first woke up the penny pincher and then gave the light to show him that he had been robbed. Fast as light itself, the crying man began running to the chief to report what a terrible night had just ended. A man standing in his path. But truly, this is the genie pretending to be a human, for they have these powers and more. You are running. Where do you rush? The sad, greedy one is panting. The chief, I have been robbed. My food. No. What will you do? Report it to the chief. Report? No, not nearly good enough. Demand. You must demand what you alone deserve. Demand? Put the matter straight with no two ways about it. Say to this chief of yours, find my millet. I have been robbed. Either you find my stolen food, or I will fall dead right across your doormat.
I will demand what is mine. Yes, demand what is mine.
This flustered man went directly to the chief's house in the village and followed the genie's words to the letter. The chief could only look at this unfortunate man and throw his arms to the sky. Well, so you will die if I don't find the food someone has taken from you? Right in front of your door. All that I can say is, too bad. I am sorry. I have no idea where to find your food. What could this greedy man do now but somehow try to make his terrible threat come true? Face down he slumped into the dust before the chief's door in a fit of make-believe dying. The chief stooped to see this act, and so impressed he became that he raised his head to call out orders to the villagers. Best that some of you come with shovels. This man whose food was taken from him, this man has died of a bitter sadness. Best that we go right now to bury him. And they did, all of them. The chief, the folks of the town, and, yes, the stranger who had just then walked in. They did put down this man so deep that there was no thought whatsoever of him coming from his tomb again. Now in that land, fathers tell their boys, mothers say to their daughters. They make this story all over especially for them. For this reason, since this has happened to that greedy man, village folks over all that land will never say no to a traveling stranger looking for food.
Who's there?
It's me,
Get out.
a friend.
Go away.
Could be.
I doubt.
I want.
Can't have.
I need.
Uh-huh.
Why not?
Because.
Let's agree.
So what?
Give in, give up, give up, give in, give in, give up, give up, give in, give in. Cold drink,
Be gone.
some bread,
Goodbye.
a taste.
Go now.
I said,
You're sly.
my throat
No milk.
is dry.
I'm poor.
Without,
No food.
I die.
Oh, sure.
I must
Don't have
a spoon,
to part.
a cup,
You fool.
a spoon.
Get smart.
Give in, give up, give up, give in, give in, give up, give up, give in, give in. My gut,
I could.
you should
Care less.
repent,
Garbage.
be good,
Repress.
relent,
I'm bad.
be blessed.
Don't care.
God says,
Go home.
confess, you dare. Give up, give up, give in, give in, give up, give up, give in,